Hello everyone. My name is Daichi, and I will give you a lecture regarding the radiation and remediation activities. So, let's start today's lecture. Today's theme is, what is the Interim Storage Facility, Volume 4. Are you ready? Okay, so far I have talked about the overview of the Interim Storage Facility, including its basic role, and elaborated each major facility in the Interim Storage Facility.
Right. Thanks to your explanation, I have understood the Interim Storage Facility much better.
That is a relief. This time I would like to talk about the current and future issues to be addressed, to wrap up my lectures about the Interim Storage Facility.
I see. But, how is the Interim Storage Facility going to be from now onward? I think, I have seen the news, saying that transportation of soil and waste had already come to the end.
Okay, please keep in your mind, that full-scale decontamination activities were completed by March 2018, and large-scale transportation projects to the Interim Storage Facility were also completed by March 2022. However, this is the achievements made in other than the difficult-to-return zones. In the difficult-to-return zones, decontamination and other relevant activities have been even now continued, and in the Interim Storage Facility, treatment of soil and waste, which have been covered so far, will be also continued. Measures taken in the difficult-to-return zones will be elaborated in another lecture.
Okay. I see. So, other than that, there is nothing particular to be done in the Interim Storage Facility, isn't there?
Actually, no. There are other issues to be addressed, according to the progress of the whole project. First of all, safe management of the facilities. Until the soil which is currently stored in the soil storage facility, as well as other kinds of waste, are transported for recycling or final disposal to outside the premise, all of the facilities need to be managed in a safe manner. For the next, dismantling of buildings, like houses and factories. In the premise of the Interim Storage Facility, even now houses and factories have been left behind there, as they were at the time of the accident. Of these buildings, those which the national government has already purchased, need to be in sequence dismantled, for the safe management of the Interim Storage Facility.
This is surely not the measure, directly relevant to treatment of soil and waste arising from decontamination activities, but could be important for the safe management of the Interim Storage Facility.
The next point is, waste treatment. This is neither the treatment of waste arising from decontamination activities, nor the specified waste, but instead, for example, the waste generated through dismantling of buildings, which I mentioned earlier. Treatment of container bags, which stored soil and waste arising from decontamination activities, will become also a big issue in the near future. Moreover, treatment of abandoned vehicles in the premise of the Interim Storage Facility is also one of the difficult issues. People who lived there were forced to evacuate urgently, shortly after the accident, so there are a number of vehicles left behind as they were at the time of the accident. They need to be properly treated, after getting permission from the owners of the vehicles. Further to that, treatment of chemicals, which could be left behind in the abandoned factories. Proper treatment of fluorocarbons used as refrigerant in vending machines. As well as recycling of slags and metals generated in the facilities, including the temporary ash treatment facilities, which was touched upon in the previous lecture, will be soon challenging issues to be addressed. In addition, that will be elaborated in another lecture, but recycling of removed soil arising from decontamination activities. A large amount of soil has been already generated, but this is the measure to recycle the soil with relatively low radioactivity concentration. This is going to be a big issue to be addressed, toward the completion of its final disposal by March 2045, which I mentioned in the previous lecture.
Well, I can understand that there are still a number of issues to be addressed. Well, dismantling of houses and factories, as well as treatment of abandoned vehicles, have just made me feel that surely there used to be a town there, where people actually lived.
Well, it is likely to be forgotten, but it is really an important viewpoint. In the premise of the interim storage facility, currently there are a variety of facilities, but of course, originally there were not such facilities there. But instead, there were lands, where around 2,700 people lived, and of course there were lives of families. There were also a nursing home for the elderly, and sports facilities as well. A lot of people worked in the factories, which currently have been left behind. Agriculture was also prospering, and many of the lands, which are currently used as the soil separation facility and the soil storage facility, used to be rice paddy fields before the accident of the nuclear power station. There were agricultural fields, where fruits like pears were cultivated. In the river, fisheries, including for salmon, were prospering. There were a lot of graveyards of their ancestors, who handed over the lands to their offsprings. And also there were temples for the people to get together. As well as a lot of shrines, which local people have protected for a long time. Somebody prayed there every day. And the area was bustling with a lot of festivals. In the premise of the interim storage facility, there was an elementary school with around 300 children. But unfortunately, since March 11, 2011 to this date, the children have not been there.
We need to keep it in our mind that the interim storage facility has been constructed on the land, with such fond memories of the people.
In addition to the evacuation order, due to the accident of the nuclear power station, they needed to determine whether or not they provide their lands to the national government. That must have been a difficult decision for both those who eventually provided them, and those who did not. Some people are still undecided, and deeply consider it. I think that everyone needs to know that this is a project that has been carried out based on such difficult decisions. At this moment, among the premise of the interim storage facility, more than 90% of the private lands, or more than 80% of the whole lands, have been already purchased and owned by the national government. These lands are currently used as the interim storage facility, but sometime in the future, it needs to be discussed. How will the nationalized lands be used?
The national project is currently conducted on the land, with a lot of fond memories of people, so it needs to be planned with due consideration, how to use the land, after being used as the interim storage facility.
I think so too. It would be good if the land becomes such a nice place, where people of Akuma town and Futaba town, who provided the lands, will be happy about. To realize it, people need to address a lot of issues together, in a nationwide level. So, let me wrap up my lecture by providing you the key points. Today I mainly talked about the future issues to be addressed for the management of the interim storage facility. Please bear in your mind that full-scale decontamination activities have been completed, and full-scale transportation projects have been almost completed in Fukushima Prefecture, other than the difficult-to-return zones. But soil and waste mainly generated in the difficult-to-return zones will be continuously treated, followed by storage in the interim storage facility. Specifically, safe management of the facilities, dismantling of buildings like houses and factories, waste treatment in the premise of the interim storage facility, recycling of slags and metals generated in the procedures of ash treatment, and recycling of removed soil, were taken as examples. In addition, I introduced the area where the interim storage facility is currently located. In the area, originally around 2,700 people lived, and there were a lot of facilities, including a nursing home, parks, sports facilities, and factories as well. Agriculture and fisheries were also prospering, and there were a lot of places of people's heart and soul, like graveyards, temples, and shrines. There was also a school, where many children went and played. And at last, I emphasize the importance to keep at our mind at any time, that the project of the interim storage facility is based on the people's difficult decisions to provide their precious lands. And I briefly mentioned that utilization of nationalized land will be one of the big issues to be discussed in the future. Okay, today's lecture is now dismissed. See you next time. In this channel, the useful information regarding the radiation and remediation will be provided to you. If you like it, please subscribe to this channel, and do not forget to click the like button.